Hi guys, I'm Zach from Nerdux Media. Welcome to another podcast in cars. Sorry for stumbling for my intro. It's really early and I'm kind of tired. In today's video, I wanted to talk about something that kind of irritates me, and it's been happening recently. There's been a few like race track limits that I've heard of recently that are starting to be a bit irritating. So one of the ones that I'm sure you're mostly all familiar with is apparently the Nürburgring has recently announced that they're going to be upping the minimum speed or average speed limits of the cars that are allowed onto track. So, for example, uh, if you're if you took a stock NA Miata and your average speed was too slow, basically they wouldn't let you on because you're going to actually end up being a hazard. Considering the fact that new manufacturer cars are a lot more, well, they're faster, just as an average. Now, what you know what, I can understand that because obviously as an inexperienced driver, I've never been on a race course, and if I pitched up there with a stock NA Miata, I'm going to be slow as hell. Like, I'm gonna be damn slow. I don't have any track experience. I'm not gonna know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna try to put my foot down and try to be as fast as I can, but I'm not gonna do well. So yes, I am gonna be a hazard toward everyone else on the track there. But what irritates me the most is they said it's the time for the stock car. So even if I pitched up there with a turbocharged built car with like a roll cage and it was a full on track car on track slicks and stuff, with like aero and stuff, to the point that if I were on track, I'd be gapping like Porsche GT3s, or Ferrari 458s, I should say. You're still not allowed because the stock car's average speed is too slow, and that irritates me a lot because I'm like, I don't know, the world can't seem to make up its mind. I'll come back to the world can't seem to make up its mind momentarily, but this is the second issue that I wanted to bring up in today's little video, and it's the fact of recently I encountered on TikTok there was a guy with an RX-7, I believe. I can't remember. I don't know if it was an RX-7 or just like a race car of some form. And he was busy going around a track, and then they called him into the pits, and they were like, "Your car's too loud, you can't race." On a racetrack. This I do not understand whatsoever. It is a racetrack. Why are there sound limits? You know what? I understand if it's the middle of the night, there should be sound limits. Obviously, you can't have race cars going around in the middle of the night and it's making stupid amounts of noise. But if it's past 9 o'clock in the morning and, before, let's say, 7 o'clock in the afternoon, I don't see what the problem is. Can we please just race our cars? Like, why? If there is a sound limit for a particular class, sure. But in terms of like, I want to say the uncapped classes that you get in racing, in terms of that, like, what is the issue here? I'm gonna sneeze, so forgive me. So my point being is I don't understand. It's a racetrack. It's like pitching up to a racetrack and they tell you you're not allowed to race because you have race car parts on. You have racing slicks on. For a particular class, cool, I understand that. But, there will definitely be classes that have racing slicks on. Can I not race in those classes? You're telling me I'm not allowed to race in those classes now because I have racing slicks, even though that's kind of what the class is meant for. Again, I do understand the sound limits and stuff because there are sometimes housing and stuff. I mean, for the Nürburgring, for example, there is housing and stuff around the ring, so kind of it's a problem if you don't, or if your car is too loud. You're going to be disturbing the peace, as it were. But this is what I'm meaning. It's like, then don't buy a house near a racetrack. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of just like thick arguments like that. For example, by one of the shopping centres, kind of my side of the world. Um, there's a little dirt bike track, and then just up the road from that is a spinning track. They say spinning because it's not drifting, it's just controlled spinning your car out. Spinning your car out in a controlled environment. There we go. Nothing to do with actually being able to drive whatsoever. It's just mash throttle. Anyway, moving on. Besides my hatred for that sport. Anyway. And I know a lot of the people in the area around it are complaining of the sound. Now, for the guys who are doing the spinning, I can kind of get where the people are complaining, or why they are complaining, because they tend to do that late at night, like 7 o'clock to midnight, which technically speaking, according to the law, is fine, because I think it's anything after 11 p.m. if I'm correct on normal days, and anything past like 2 p.m. on specific holidays where people would be using firecrackers, which I hate in its own breath, and that's another topic for like a completely different kind of video. But yeah, but yes, apparently it's there's like a whole bunch of people complaining about that. So the speed, well, the smoking tires, I can't remember what it's called. The spinning people, I understand, because that's a little bit late at night. Come on, there's people sleeping or trying to sleep. We got to get up early for work. Although it is generally speaking on like a Friday night or Saturday night, so it's like, come on, weekend, whatever. But moving on. But the dirt bikes go in the middle of the day. And to be fair, actually, sometimes when people are at work, so how does this inconvenience you? Unless your small child has just come back from school, I suppose, and is trying to do homework. But with that being said, a lot of the residential area, if you will, is very far. Like it's a fair bit away, and you can hear the bikes, but they're not like roaring in your ear. It's not like trying to study next to the racetrack. You're studying a couple kilometers away, and it just happens that the bikes are pretty loud because they are race bikes. So, you know, it is a bit loud. I'm gonna just take off my jacket here for a second whilst I continue to explain. So I don't know, that's my thoughts on the whole situation. I'm like, I don't understand. Then why buy a house? Why build a house near a racetrack? Because those racetracks were there long before, you know, the residential area. So you have no grounds. You decided to build a house or buy a house there. That's not my, you know, the racetrack's problem that you wanted that. But I want to say the law, if you will, is kind of reinforcing that. They're like, nope, racetracks, nope, you have to limit the amount of sound because people have moved in now and they don't want a racetrack near them. Go move somewhere else. It's not my problem you moved next to a racetrack. Go buy a house somewhere else. I will gladly take a house next to the racetrack until, you know, I potentially have a child, of which then it is going to be annoying because the child's not going to sleep. Then I will move away. Because logic, my dude. I don't know. I find it irritating that there's like sound limits for that kind of situation, because it's, again, I'm very heavily against that kind of situation, because again, it's like, you chose to live there, you chose to put up with the fact that there is a racetrack, and then you're now refusing to put up with the fact that you're near a racetrack. What were you expecting? The racetrack was there long before you. The racetrack, generally speaking, for a lot of them anyway, maybe not, you know, a random dirt course for dirt bikes, but for the Nürburgring, Laguna Seca, racetracks like that, it's you know, got heritage and stuff. People have died there, like very significant people. You can't just be like, nope, let's tear it up and tear it down. There it goes, no more racetrack. Because it inconveniences you whilst you're trying to sleep. In my personal opinion. Now, the second part that I wanted to get into is obviously what I mentioned about the Nürburgring, upping the minimum speed, average speed that your car can do. Otherwise they won't let you on the track. To me, this irritates me because a lot of people Germany included, even though that they've got the Autobahn, a lot of people want to race. I want to race. I want to enjoy my car. I've built my car purposely to go racing and stuff, or be better at it, not necessarily purpose built for it. But there are a lot of people who have purposely built their cars to go to a racetrack and stuff. And now you're telling me that I can't go enjoy my car and like push it to its limits and race it. So what do you think is going to happen? I'm going to take my car onto the streets and end up doing it on the streets because you're not letting me take it to a race course. Do we see the issue here? You get what I mean? Because now they're going to start complaining, oh, street racing, we're going to impound your car, we're going to destroy it and stuff because you're street racing. Okay, cool, that's fine. I understand, and that's 100%. I acknowledge it's irresponsible and I'm putting other people's lives in danger. So why don't you build somewhere that I could take my car and enjoy it and push it to its limits and stuff, where nobody else is endangered, or at the very least nobody else that isn't willing to put themselves in that position themselves, you know what I mean? So maybe, you know, it would be like a windy road kind of setup that just links into itself, and there's no speed limits at all, and I can just push my car, and it's just myself and a whole bunch of other like-minded people who all just don't mind if something does happen to ourselves or somebody else. We're all kind of aware of that fact and we're all happy with that. This almost sounds like a racetrack, doesn't it? But then obviously we've got the issue of, no, now you're not allowed on a racetrack for unbeknownst reasons, stupid reasons, to be honest with you. I am fogging up my car right now. It's just because I'm that hot. Damn. Anyway. And this is something that happened to... there was a YouTuber that bought his own racetrack. And then they went to like court and stuff not that long after, because he bought a racetrack in the middle of nowhere. And then very quickly, you know, suburbia basically caught up and started to surround it. And then people were complaining about it. And they wanted him to tear it up and destroy it. And I remember coming across, which is also what half inspired this video, a TikTok where he's standing in court. Is it Cletus? I think it was Cletus from YouTube. I can't remember. I'm terribly sorry. But he literally went to court and he was saying, so you shout at us when we drive our cars on the road. So here we are, we've built a racetrack so we can enjoy our cars away from public and in safety. And now you're telling me that I'm not allowed to drive my car on the racetrack. So what do you think is going to happen? We're going to go back onto the street, where then you're going to tell us that we're not allowed to do this on the street. Where would you like us to go? I swear, at this point, the Karens of the world that hate the cars and stuff, they genuinely just want us to buy an island off the coast of somewhere that we all have privately to ourselves, and then that will be essentially a private race track island that everyone who likes cars can go live there. If the Karens are willing to supply us with the money to do this, I'm more than happy to do that, just by the way. But I haven't got the money to go buy a personal island, go build a racetrack, and then import my car there. So yeah, unless you know, everyone is willing to pay their parts for the inconvenience, shut the fuck up. Because I get this a lot as well. Like, you have two kinds of people. I've noticed with like my car driving around. You get the people that go absolutely ham and they're going tilt and they got their cameras out and they're taking pictures and they want you to do a quick pull and like a little rev and stuff, of which car guys are generally speaking like really happy to do. Or you get the, you know, that they like staring you down and giving you such a dirty look for the simple fact that like you've got an aggressive clutch, you know, you need to like rev it up a little bit, or it's cold, so you know, you just got to keep the RPMs up, otherwise it's going to die, and then you're going to hold up traffic and stuff. So you gotta bop the throttle every now and then, just keep it a little bit, and then they like getting so angry with you, and it's just like, Listen, it's an old car. I don't care if I have or not modified it. At this point, it's an old car. That kind of shit happens. So yeah, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of my community can agree with me here. I'm not sure if there's any dads in chat. If there's any dads in chat, you can also let me know kind of your perspective on the situation here. Because like I was saying, if I were a dad and I had a young child, a baby or whatever, that would be struggling to sleep and cry every 5 minutes if a loud car came down the road going, I would also be quite irritated and pissed off. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Down the road from me, we have neighbors that are stance and sound guys. I'm sure my audience at this point knows my position on that kind of part of the car scene. I really don't care, and their cars are really loud, and it makes the glass in the house shake because of the sound and stuff, and it is rather irritating, especially when they come down the road at midnight because they've been out jolling or whatever. It is irritating. I'm going to be honest with you, it is irritating on my behalf as well. And if they were doing that every single night, I would be irritated. But generally speaking, they're not that bad. So, like, I can tolerate it. It is an irritating occurrence, but I can tolerate it. But, like I was saying, if it happened every night, I would be quite irritated myself. But I can imagine having a small baby child. They would be crying every 5 minutes and stuff because it's just too loud, and they'd be irritated, essentially, themselves. So that, I 100% understand why people get irritated with that. But, some of us just want to enjoy our cars. Just let us enjoy our cars. Please. I'm asking so nicely. I don't know. Again, personally, I could right now myself, I don't know if my girlfriend would agree, but I could very easily just move up next to a racetrack, because I'd be happy to wake up, and then at 7 in the morning I'm watching a couple of Porsches go at it on the racetrack. I'd be happy for that 100%, even if it's bikes and stuff. I'm not that into bikes, but I'm more than happy to watch the racing. I'd wake up with it. I do understand it could get annoying, but I feel like, I don't know. To be honest with you, I feel like if you're building a house next to a racetrack, whether you're into cars or not, surely you take into account that there is going to be a racetrack next to you. So you build the house with extra sound deadening or something, or extra stuff in the walls so that it's extra insulation in the walls or something to help sound deaden, and so on and so forth. Maybe larger bricks or something. I don't know. I don't know. Because, again, looping back here on myself, sorry. My biggest issue is, it seems like the law and all of that is trying to push cars and racing completely out the window. They must not exist. But there will always be, obviously, the group that does like it. And I was watching actually a video this morning of a guy that a Karen was going after. The story is irrelevant, but basically the cop was into cars himself. The cop was super keen. He knew there was a Subaru BRZ and a Cadillac. He knew a Cadillac SVT, I believe is what it's called. And he knew the name of the exhaust system that the guy even had on the Cadillac. The cop was a car guy, or at least an honorary car guy, you know what I mean? He may not have been full car guy doing himself, but he knew about rev matching for downshifts. He knew the whole spiel. And it's like, if the law enforcement themselves is also into cars, and I understand, again, obviously you can't have a straight pipe car. That's going to be way too loud. But, for example, how my car is set up. My car is actually quite quiet and idle. I do actually plan on doing a sound video for my car, but yeah. But my car is actually quite quiet and idle, and even up until about 4,000 RPM, even 5,000 RPM, my car's actually pretty quiet. But then you start actually putting your foot down, full throttle, full jam, under load kind of setup, and my car will scream in the higher RPMs. It's actually really, really nice. And that kind of stuff I can tolerate 100% because, you know, loudness comes but with respect. You know, I can still drive around very respectfully. No issues. I'm not too loud, so on and so forth. But then if I wanted to be loud and pop and bang, I can. It's kind of like having a valved exhaust, I suppose, in like a modern sports car. That kind of stuff I'm fine with. But when the guys just tear that out and they put a straight pipe, be a little bit respectful to your community, so on and so forth. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments on the whole situation. That's actually what I was going to ask. If you are a dad, kind of what's your stance on the situation? If you're a car guy dad, what's your stance on the situation? Because I'm sure a lot of the car guy dads here, stop. They only really drive their cars like on the weekend, you know. Okay, well, I suppose, okay, this is a hypothetical scenario. You've got like a fully built Supra or GTR or something like that, that's you know, super loud, but that's your weekend car. You don't drive that every day. That's your weekend car. You go out to a racetrack maybe once every second weekend or something. That car actually doesn't really get used. And then maybe you've got like a Subaru BRZ or a Mazda MX-5 or something as your daily driver, because you know you're doing well for yourself and so on and so forth, and you just wanted something sporty for your daily driver, and you've got a little bit of an exhaust on it, but it's not terribly loud or anything. I don't know, because I feel like that's fine. But do your kids agree? Are they not irritated by the cars? I feel like, generally speaking, the kids who grow up with cars, loud cars and stuff, they don't care. I know I used to go to a drag strip with my dad when I was a very small kid, and I remember not enjoying those kind of cars because it was very, very loud drag car V8s. They would just scream down the thing, and it would obviously very much hurt my very small innocent ears that hadn't been blessed by the sounds of aggressive V8s just yet. So even there, like as a car kid, that was a bit too loud. But again, that's a fully fledged racetrack out in the middle of nowhere, you know. So don't come at me and be like, or I shouldn't go at the racetrack and be like, no, your cars aren't allowed to be that loud. Of course they're allowed to be that loud. They're out in the middle of nowhere. It's fine, 100%. If it was next to my house, I'd have a larger issue with it. But no, out in the middle of fucking nowhere, no, that's cool, 100%. But you know, I've had like Ferraris race past me, obviously my car, so on and so forth. And to me personally, that's fine. I'm happy with that. I don't mind that kind of loud and stuff. I get a little bit irritated when there's like straight pipe cars, but I'm going to be honest with you, it's less so to do with how loud they are, more so to do with just like the tone of the exhaust. It just sounds terrible. Loud does not necessarily mean good sound, just by the way. I want to put that out there. Loudness does not equal good. It just equals loud. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to bring up in today's video. What are your thoughts on the sound limits for racetracks? Because I completely disagree with that. Like, I don't think there's even a shadow of a doubt of me disagreeing, sorry. It's a racetrack. You should be allowed to just be like as loud as you want. Again, unless there is a limit for that particular class for unknown reasons. Yeah. But otherwise, no. It needs to be open. You should be able to just drive. And then minimum average speeds for the Nürburgring and other racetracks. I'm going to put other racetracks in the same branch as well, because maybe something happens in the future for other racetracks. Yeah. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are. If you agree, if you disagree. until next time, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Friday's video is going to be a pretty cool one. We've got the Initial D GR86. Well, it was the GR86 reveal for the country. It was one of the first ones in the country. It was a car meet that I went to ages and ages ago, about a month or two ago. So yeah, it's going to be a cool video. So yeah, until next time, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Cheers.